Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you for joining us.
Always good to be on, Don.
Congressman, I want to play something that one of your Senate colleagues, a colleague in the Senate, actually the head of the minority leader, Chuck Schumer, said last night when they were voting on this deal. Here it is.
For months and months, Democrats have been fighting to get the Senate to address the health care crisis. This bill does nothing to ensure that that crisis is addressed. I am voting no, and I will keep fighting.
Okay, so here's what I don't understand, and perhaps you can help me because you are a politician. Chuck Schumer is the Senate minority leader. He's supposed to be the leader. He voted no. Now, the reporting is that he didn't have much to do with these negotiations. I don't understand why, if he is the leader. You put out a tweet saying Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? So please help me to understand Chuck Schumer's, I don't know, his involvement in all of this and his stance on all of this, why he is not voting for it, but yet I don't understand it. Help me understand.
Well, Don, look, the senators who voted for it have been on TV saying that they kept Schumer in the loop at every step of the way. You don't just have a deal like this happen with the Senate minority leader not blessing it. And if he was really opposed to this, but you had 8 senators going rogue, he could have called them out publicly. He could have said that he's strongly disagreed with what they were doing. He did none of that. So what he tried to do is have his cake and eat it too. He would vote no, but he would get enough people to vote yes and cut the deal. And you know what? For the longest time, these kind of tactics have worked in Washington, but not for this moment, not for this new generation. They're tired of the political games. They're tired of kind of this spin, and they want people who are going to actually stand up for working class values. That's why I was the first Democrat elected to call for him to be replaced. Now others have been echoing that call.
That's a pretty strong statement, sir. And look, I have to commend you for it. How is it being received?
You know, I'm surprised that it's being received rather well. I've taken positions that I get huge backlash. When I spoke out against the blank check to Netanyahu and the Gaza war, that was a tough issue. I got backlash for that. When I have called out the party on other issues, there's sometimes been backlash. But in this case, it's not just progressives. I think many people are disappointed with how Schumer's been leading. And so while there have been a few defenders of him, there's been large consensus that we need new leadership.
I have to tell you, as you know, Congressman, I'm out and about all the time talking to people. I have not heard from one Schumer defender. And as a matter of fact, I hear from more people who feel like you than I have. I don't hear from any defenders at all. I'm wondering, present company excluded, do you think your party, at least the senators who voted yes for this, do you think they understand where the party is right now? Because from every single Democrat I speak to, they want the Democratic Party to stand up, to have a backbone, to fight against this authoritarian regime that they deem is happening with the Trump administration. They don't want Democrats to back down. Do you think your party understands that? Do you think they know where the zeitgeist is, or where the sentiment is, or where the movement is, and the energy in the Democratic Party is right now? Because it's not where they are.
Not enough of them do. I mean, some do, of course. I mean, a Chris Murphy or a Tim Kaine or others, but a lot don't. And here's why people are reluctant to do what I said, which is replace Chuck Schumer. You think, well, why don't more members of Congress or senators just say this? And the reality is, they won't face any backlash from voters, and they're probably not going to face much backlash online or from pundits. But you know who they will face backlash from? Donors. There are a lot of powerful people who donate money and have been donating money to Senator Schumer and the DSCC for years. So I'm sure they're not going to support me in the future. And some of them may have supported me in the past as individuals and won't now. Our party has to realize that we cannot let the donor class call the shots. We can't be afraid of them. And that's, I think, what's stopping us from being bolder to meet the moment.
I am dumbfounded, and I was dumbfounded last night when all of this was going down, and then again this morning, watching some Democrats go out in front of cameras and say that this was a win for Democrats and a win for the American people. Can you explain that to me, please? How is
I
this a
really,
win?
I don't understand it because what did we achieve? We said, okay, we don't want premiums going up. Yesterday, while I was waiting 6 hours at an airport because of the shutdown, like many Americans, someone came running up to me and he said, "Look at my father's premiums. My father's a taxi driver in Arizona. He has cancer. His premium was $44 a month, and it's going up to $2,600 a month. His deductible was $800, and it's going up to $6,000. I screenshotted what he sent me. That's what we were fighting for, and we didn't get any relief for that taxi driver. We didn't get a 6 month extension, a 1 year extension. So I don't understand how you could go out with a straight face and say that this was some kind of win for people. It's just not true.
Are you concerned about the future of the party? I know that, look, um, people tend to have short memories, but the consequences right now are so dire, especially when you look at healthcare. If I think it's important that people get SNAP benefits, of course. No one wants people to starve. No one wants people to, be on to fall on hard times or not to have a good holiday season. Don't get me wrong, but the healthcare affects every single American, and every single American should have access to affordable healthcare. If you don't have access to affordable healthcare, then you don't afford it, which means you don't have healthcare. And so the consequences are dire right now. So I just wonder right now. For the life of me, honestly, I can't understand why Democrats don't understand that, and the Senate Democrats didn't understand that, and seriously, for the first time, and you know me, Congressman, for the first time, I'm at a loss for words. I'm never at a loss for words. I'm trying hard to understand this, and I just don't, especially after Tuesday, especially what happened around the country with voting, especially after the polls for Democrats showing that the American people were on the Democrat side. They were blaming the Republicans and Donald Trump for this, and especially after Donald Trump with the Mar-a-Lago and the Great Gatsby party and building, a giant ballroom while people were suffering. Democrats had a winning hand, and then they folded. Help me. Again, I don't know what to say.
It's mind-boggling. It's just people who are out of touch, who don't understand the political moment that we're in. Look, the good news is there's a new generation of leaders. Zoran Mamdani won, Abigail Spanberger won, Mikey Sherrill won. There are people who get it. Someone jokingly, or maybe it was serious, described me as a backbencher calling for Schumer's ouster. Some people who liked me came to my defense saying, no, he's not a backbencher. I said, no, the problem is those of us in the back need to get to the front. This party needs a
Right.
change in the leadership. And we've got to get a new generation of folks who are talking to folks who actually have to pay these bills, who are, not surrounded by the consultant bubble, who still, when they're at airports, have people come up to them. And it's just being in touch and understand the base. Why do you get it done? Yes, you're savvy and you're thoughtful, but because you're out there. You're out there talking to folks. And the reality is, there are too many people in our party. They've been in elected office 30, 40 years, and they spend a lot of their time holed up, talking to donors, talking to media consultants. They do a CNN or MSNBC hit, and then they go on the Senate floor, and they're just not in touch with where people are.
If Chuck Schumer called you today, or he dropped by your office, or you went by his office, what would you say to him?
I'd say, look, Senator, it's not personal. I respect some of the things you've accomplished in your career. I get that we would not have had the Chips and Science Act if it weren't for your leadership. I get that we would not have had the Inflation Reduction Act, but for your leadership. I appreciated what you did with the bipartisan infrastructure bill. But you know what? You've just lost touch with where the base of the party is. You've lost touch on foreign policy, where you supported the war in Iraq and then a blank check to Netanyahu, and you refused to endorse Mamdani. And then this is the second time you've had the shutdown fight, and you've caved both times. And it's time for you to gracefully make way for a new generation. It's not personal. You let your career be judged in its entirety, and the benefits will probably outweigh the negatives. But you're not the right person to lead right now.
Have you had the opportunity to convey any of that to him or any of your Republican colleagues? I mean, your Democratic colleagues in the Senate?
I have not directly to him. I doubt he'd be taking my phone call right now, but I would not approach it. We work together on the Chips and Science Act. There are times that he's been incredibly effective. I don't have this view that everything Chuck Schumer's done in his career has been bad. The point is, though, is he the right person to lead the Democratic Party right now, given two times he's folded on the shutdown, given that he's not willing to sort of say Zoran Mamdani's name, given where he is on foreign policy? He just isn't there. And someone said to me, you have to know your sell by date in American politics. All of us will
Mm,
have one. And I think he just needs to be aware that that's not there now. If he steps down as leader, he can finish out his term with grace. I think actually that could be a time where he spends the next few years working on things he cares about. But why
yeah.
why is he insistent on trying to lead a party where two-thirds of folks don't want you? If there was a poll in my district saying, two-thirds of people didn't want me, I'd have a conversation with my family saying, maybe it's time to do something else.
Yeah. Listen, speaking of, I said it was a loss for words, but something I said it was a loss for words and you agreed. But this is confounding to me and something that Angus King is confounding to a lot of people as well. And then I want you to listen to this and then we'll discuss. Here it is.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were two goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. Under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
You can't stand up to Donald Trump. I mean, what is he saying? Do you just, I don't know, do you just fall on it and just, I don't know, give up? Like what?
I really don't understand his rationale there. Look, first of all, this is the first time you had Donald Trump backpedaling. This is the first time I've seen him concerned. He's lashing out as his own party. He's saying, "Get rid of the filibuster. This cost me the elections on last Tuesday." And he is actually in a position of vulnerability. It's the only thing in the 1 year he's been in office that has actually had him on his back foot. So
Mhm.
I don't understand why the senator made that argument. The second point is, if you didn't think that there was going to be a concession on the Affordable Care Act subsidies, why
Why'd
did
you
we
do
make
it?
that the fight? Obviously, people thought that there would be a concession on it. Now, look, I would understand. I may not have loved it if they had said, okay, we're not going to get a permanent extension, Ro, even though we've had permanent tax breaks for billionaires, but we're going to get a 1 year extension. It's going to help people. And then, you know what? If I didn't feel like that was the best deal, I would have said, you know what? I don't understand, may not agree with it. I think we should have held out longer, but I understand in good faith, you have to compromise. I wouldn't have called for Senator Schumer to be replaced, but to get nothing? I mean, that's what I find mind-boggling.
What's next? What do you do now? What do Democrats do now?
Well, I think the House Democrats have got to put up the fight of our lives in the House to see whether we can stop this. There's a few Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others who have expressed concern about the spikes in premiums, and if the Democratic caucus stays united, 212 of us, and we get a few Republicans to break, then there is a possibility of still fighting for the increase in subsidies. But it's going to be uphill because we've lost a lot of the leverage with what the Senate has done. At the same time, we need to continue to fight on on the Epstein matter, I know you followed that. Adelita Grajova is going to be sworn in the day the House opens this week. 7 days after that, we're going to have a vote in the Congress to release the Epstein files, and that will be a big deal. And that's where we may see large Republican defection.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.